Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live a life with no boundaries? To travel anywhere in the world at any time and stay as long as you want? Over the last 3.5 years, I've been traveling on one-way tickets from one city to the next, hopping countries like it's going out of style. And this started because I worked in an office and I wondered, is there anything more to life than this? Is there anything more than just the same thing every day in and day out? And I think many people, they see my travels and they say, I wish I could do that. And they think, if only I could. And I say, come on, join in. And they say, but I can't because. And they have all these reasons why they can't move forward. They can't live their dream. They're doing something that they don't love. Now, question for you. Have you ever felt like you were on top of the world, only to have the rug pulled out from under you so hard that you didn't even know was possible? This happened to me a couple of years ago. I became very ill, and at first I didn't know what was wrong. And I started rapidly losing blood, and my hemoglobin count dropped drastically. For those that may not know, a normal person's hemoglobin count is from 12 to 18. I fell to 7.6 and then 5.8. And at each point, I was taken to the hospital for an emergency blood transfusion. And at first, I didn't know why. I didn't know what was wrong. And then I discovered that there were 3 tumors that were growing inside of me in my stomach. And the largest one got to be about the size of a child's head. And I couldn't do things like I used to be able to. And the doctors said there wasn't anything they could do because I wasn't healthy enough to have the surgery. So I waited. And I tried alternative medicine, and that just caused me to gain 50 pounds in a year, which was traumatizing for other reasons. And as I went on, my energy and strength just drained out of me. And as my blood was drained from me, I couldn't sit up, I couldn't stand, and yet I still traveled because I had things to do. I had a business to run. A business I started 5 years ago that I didn't want to fail. And so there I was being wheeled through airports in a wheelchair and speaking from a stool on stage. And I didn't know what else to do because the only other alternative was to just sit at home and wait. But I didn't have a home. I got rid of that 3.5 years ago. So I felt lost in the world, traveling, not knowing where to go, not knowing what to do. And I felt helpless. Have you ever felt helpless? I felt helpless once before that I remember, and it was when I was 15 years old. My parents separated and divorced, and my entire world crumbled because my family fell apart. But it wasn't just the fact that my family fell apart, it was the way that it fell apart. You see, my mom thought that something had happened to me, and she thought that I had been taken advantage of. She thought I had been sexually abused. But I don't remember this. I, to this day, don't recall this happening. But she was certain that something had happened, so she would ask me, she would corner me every day and say, Maria, you can tell me it's okay. It's okay, you can tell me what happened, you can tell me who did this. And I said, nothing happened. I was defending myself every day. And it was so bad that I started thinking, she's trying to convince me something happened to me, that I've been taken advantage of in the worst way possible, and I don't remember it. And I didn't want to remember it even if it happened, but I just don't know. And I felt cornered, I felt trapped, I felt completely alone. I didn't know what to do. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I slit my wrist because I didn't want to live. Because I couldn't take the trauma, the emotional trauma of being told something happened that didn't happen. Being trying to convinced of that. Fortunately, that might have been the one thing I failed at in my life. And I don't think I really wanted to die. I think that I just couldn't take it anymore. And I don't like being weak, but sometimes that's reality of how we feel. And I've never told people about this because nobody believed me that nothing happened, so I just stopped talking about it. And I never talked about it because I didn't realize that vulnerability is actually strength. And it's a way to connect with people on a deeper level, to actually share the things that have happened in your life and the things that have been troubling. So fast forward over a decade, and here I am traveling the world, no home to go to, a couple of suitcases, one city to the next, feeling lost, not being able to stand, feeling helpless again. And what I realized is that nothing that I thought that mattered in my life actually mattered. Nothing that I put my attention toward, who cares? What mattered to me was freedom and flexibility, and boy did I have that. But when you can't stand and you can't walk, that doesn't matter. I was building a brand, that's very important to me. I built an international consulting business, but when I can't get out of bed, that doesn't matter either. And last year, I was in Munich, Germany at a conference, and a friend and fellow trainer, Peter Stevens, asked me a powerful question. And he said, Maria, what really matters? And this question floored me. I froze, and everything hit me, and I realized that nothing that I thought mattered at all. And what really matters is health, taking care of yourself, friends, people, connections, experiences, the things that we take for granted every day. How often do you not give yourself what you need? How often do you look out for everyone else other than yourself? And that's not fair to you, because as my friend and mentor Michael Sahota says, we have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first in order to help others. And if we're not okay, we can't be effective and be there for the people in our lives that we care about. So what I want to challenge you to think about is what really matters in your life. Not the stuff you do when you stop and are still and nothing else is going on. And think of 3 to 4 things, maximum 4, and write them down. And then look at the last week and make a list of all of the things that you did last week. And do any of those things align? Because once you can visualize what matters to you, and you can visualize what you do, you can see if they align and you can make conscious choices to change. And we call that personal agility, refocusing on what really matters in your life. So on my quest to have this agile lifestyle, I discovered that the freedom is great, but it's lonely. And without the people that are meaningful, the people that care for me, what do we really have? So I want to encourage you to think about how can you live to the fullest extent that you want, but without sacrificing yourself and the people that you care about? And how can you live every day to the maximum and really just be? To be at peace, to show up the way that you want to show up in the world, and be the change that you want to see. Thank you.